You've been in Pakistan a few times, as you said. Do you have a particular affinity for Pakistan? How did that develop, your relationship with this part of the world?
Well, I do for Asia in general, but I did, at first it started with the Afghani refugees. I'd met with them. Strangely enough, my first trip, when working with UNHCR, when working with refugees, you often, you just look at kind of numbers and displacement, and you start to think, I think it's a good way to be able to understand what's happening in the world. If you kind of get a gauge of the millions displaced in one area or another, it could tell you a lot about that area. And a few weeks before September 11th, I was reading a lot about how many Afghani people were in Pakistan, and thought that's quite a high number, and I wondered why, and they'd been here for so many years, and so I came here, and I came to Quetta, and I walked around. It was 2001, and then everything has changed since. But when I came on that trip, I met so many. I met just the people, the women who'd fled because they wanted to have an education, and the husbands who fled with them. I remember meeting a husband with yellow eyes because his kidneys had been and liver had been kicked in because he was trying to get his daughters to school, and he was refusing to let them shut his daughters in and not allow them their right to education. So I was very moved by them and continue to be. And then through them, I've gotten to know the people of Pakistan who are also extraordinary people.
Do you have specific responsibilities as a Goodwill ambassador, certain things that you must accomplish on the ground there, or how does that work for you?
It's different. It's developed over the years. When I first came out, it was kind of, I would just quietly go into the field and get an education. I just wanted to not speak to the press very much and get an education and spend time with people, which is kind of the nicest thing, to be able to get to know the refugees and the displaced families. And since then, it's developed a little more. I have more responsibility to speak out publicly and to meet with government officials and ministries and speak to them about specifics of right to return and discourage forced returns and so on and so forth. So it's become a little more political.
When you're describing, when you go back home and you're in the States and you're trying to tell your friends about this, do people want to talk to you about what you've seen here in Pakistan? I find that sometimes it's hard because unless you've been on the ground, it's tough to convey. Do you spend a lot of time talking about this with your friends and your family when you get home?
I do. I'll talk to my family. I'll talk to Brad. He's very, he wants to know as much as he can about these issues and every trip, and he's been here as well. He came here with me after the earthquake. Right. I don't know. I don't have a lot of friends I talk to. He's really the only person I talk to. But I'll tell my children. I told my children why I was going, and I explained to them they'd seen the news, and I explained to them that why I was packing flashlights and food, and they helped me pack some things. So I think it also helps them to be better people, to understand a little bit about the world.
I know you and I were communicating when I was over there, and you said you were watching the reports. It's kind of funny. My wife won't let my kids sometimes watch because my kids are young, and she thinks it's quite sad and it's tough. How about your kids? I mean, do you encourage them to watch what's happening here? Do you encourage them to talk about it?
I do. It depends. I have children of all different ages, so the older ones are able to watch more. It depends on what the reports are. Sometimes, a lot of times the reports are repeated, so you can watch it and then have them watch it when you know it's okay. But no, I think it's important if we can. Especially my children are from a lot of these countries, so I want them to understand. I want to understand what's happening in Africa, and the boys to understand what's happening if there's something current in their countries, and for all of them to know about each other's countries as well, and just the world in general. So I do try to teach them as much as I can.
Well, again, I'm just really thrilled you're there. I was watching, when this was happening, and surprised, I think, in some ways that the world wasn't paying more attention, but I think they will now, especially that you're there. So thanks so much, Ambassador. Safe travels. Stay cool as you can out in Pakistan. See you soon.